Um, yeah, this is April 2nd, 2020. By the time some of you read this, I probably won't be alive. I have extremely low, dangerously T and B cell function. But I have spent, I'm 78, and I've spent my entire life researching. And since 1986, I began to research science with the help of scientists and American agencies, and some in Europe and some in Israel. Because I have a disease, crippled when I was 6 years old in 1947, collapsed in 1966 when I was 25, lost everything, became homeless, collapsed again at the age of 42 in a 5-month semi-coma, no treatment, no cure, and no help. And again, I wound up losing everything and homeless. So what I'm trying to say is that although I am not a scientist or a doctor expert, I'm an expert at surviving. And because of the type of corona virus 19, the COVID-19, I don't stand a chance, okay? Because a simple cold virus, I wind up with lung infection within 3 hours, and I'm battling that for weeks. And I can't use antibiotics. I've run out. They don't work on me anymore. So I research diets for disease control and how to survive in a hostile world. And basically, I have become allergic to the planet. And there are just so much knowledge that I have that if I read something that's wrong or it's misinterpreting the facts, I'm able to know that. And right now, CNN put out a how to corona-proof your home in print form. But there's a lot of people out there today that aren't really good readers. So I'm doing this video for them because whether or not you survive this pandemic, there will be more to come. You ain't seen nothing yet. This is just the beginning. And you will become eventually your children through mutating from being poisoned, air, food, water, and beverages. They will become like me. And I have all of that on Facebook and on YouTube on how to survive. And whenever I see something about the corona that I think is really useful, I'm going to post it, of course. I created a coronavirus, a COVID-19 news page on Facebook. And I'm in a lot of pain right now, okay? So sorry about the fidgeting. It's spring, and the allergy season is really, really, really bad for me. I can't sleep, and when I do fall asleep, I wake up choking on mucus, and my sinuses are all plugged, and my head is pounding, and I'm sneezing. And I take up to 15 garlic pills every 5 to 6 hours to be able to breathe. And I have to use a gas mask. But in the meantime, I want to share with you this CNN. Because it's basically what I'm doing anyway. And even with that, some of us won't survive. Because this virus lives outside the body 17 days. And on products and on plastic. So you'll do whatever you can, and you're going to bring it into the house, most of you. So anyway, CNN, it's by Scotty Andrew, and life under coronavirus means staying at home as much as possible. Well, I've been living in isolation on and off for 40 years, so yes, that's true. Because people spread virus, and they don't even have symptoms. And they're careless, and they're selfish, and even if they're sick, they'll go out. That's been my experience. So welcome to my world. But you'll likely need to make a trip to the grocery store or pharmacy at some point. So these are tips to help you. Now, recommendations will change daily because we don't have a lot of information. Well, when I say we, I have a lot of information because I've been researching these damn viruses for 40 years. But unfortunately, I started to isolate in October. I'm not stupid. I immediately start to check what the virus situation is like because I know I'm going to get sick. And I have to stop going to dances, and I got to stop being with the people I love, and I have to isolate. And I saw this started in China, and it was evident that it was going to be pandemic, but nobody was paying any attention and nobody was listening. And in January, for sure, North America should have been stocking up to protect their doctors and your nurses, because without them, guess what? You're not going to survive. And right now, our doctors and nurses don't have adequate equipment. It's really despicable. We've got billionaires in this country, and I'm talking billionaires and multimillionaires, and they're not doing this to help get the equipment that our first responders need. At least I have to say the Americans are being much more proactive on that level. I mean, God, even Kylie Kardashian has turned her cosmetic plant into creating masks for their hospital in Los Angeles. But they need more than that. They have to have and protect the eyes. So it says, make a game plan. Now, if you live alone, it's a whole different thing, but designate one person to be your errand runner to limit your exposure. Well, I have to do that. I have a partner, Dan, who's been rescuing me for 36 years. And he does what he can. But there are just some things that I have to be there because I'm the one that can read the label, and I'm the one that will know if there's anything in it that's toxic. So a silly thing, Ricola is the only cough drop I can use. I take terrible choking fits, and I've been taking terminal attacks thousands of times and managed to pull through. And not just by the grace of God, hard work. Anyway, sometimes I have to go out because I couldn't rely on him to read the package and know which one to get. And I can't have aspartame or any toxic chemicals or any canola oil, and a lot of Canadian products are the cause of my disease. So set up a disinfecting station, an area outside your home or in a room with low foot traffic where you can disinfect packaged food. Okay, well, we didn't do that yet because I got to take it one day at a time, you know. I just yesterday said I want our doorknobs front and outside and inside, and don't be touching doors with your hand. So now he's using his elbow. But the virus lives on your clothing too. Anyway, what I'm doing, you do what you want, but I'm carrying peroxide 3% in a little spray bottle, and baby wipes, and I'm wiping down the packages before I even touch it in the grocery store. And I'm wiping down all doorknobs before I even touch it. So I would just add that little bit of extra. And when you're out, avoid coming within, it says 6 feet. No. 10 feet, people. Count the fingers on your hand. 10 feet. Yeah. Definitely. Got to be at least 10 feet. And wipe the carts and baskets. Yes, absolutely. And it says you don't have to wear gloves or masks. Not true. Again, look up the research, people. I'm going to tell you right now, South Korea got it right. Whether you had symptoms or not, everybody got the test. Number one. Number two, everybody had to cover themselves and their hands and wear masks and goggles. Many wore goggles. Like there's things like, you know, you can wear cheap in the dollar store. You can buy a swimming goggle. Anyway, they got it right, and they shut down instantly. No in, no out, no traveling. They didn't fool around. And imagine, out of all the countries on the planet, with all the money that Europe has and England has and United States and Canada, South Korea got it right. Okay. And now the CDC is talking about maybe we should all protect ourselves. That's because you don't have to have symptoms and you can be a carrier. So obviously everybody should wear something. And of course you have to, if you're wearing goggles and you're wearing a mask, hopefully you won't be touching your face and your eyes, because everything you touch, it lives on your hands, and it'll live outside the body. There's a lot of science that I put up on my Facebook page. You could look up if you want all the gory details. Most of you don't. When you get back, okay, as soon as we stepped into the door, I said, make sure you clean the doorknobs. And we leave our shoes and boots right at the entrance of the door. We don't trot through the house. That would be stupid. Or if you can, disinfect your shoes. And disinfect takeout boxes, packaged foods outside your door. And thoroughly wash produce before putting it in your kitchen or your fridge. And yes, by all means. I use pesticide soap on organic fruits and vegetables. But I do buy most of my organic food and do eat as much vegetables as you can. I don't eat enough. And fruit's good too, but it's very high in sugar. You need to have a good balance. And you need to have a healthy protein. I use organic eggs as my main go-to protein because beans don't always work. And I take supplements, but I'm talking about what I do, and I've been doing it for 40 years, well, since 1986. With the help of a scientist, I developed a diet for disease control. And that's all on my Facebook. Now, disinfect everything you touch. Doorknobs, light switches, keys, phones, keyboards, remotes, computer. Well, sorry, I'm disinfecting the minute I come in the door, so I don't have to come into the house and start disinfecting everything I own. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I'm disinfecting me, and I take off my clothes and throw them on the floor, and I take off my gloves and I throw them on the floor, and I change every day what I wear, but I have enough clothes that I can do that. But if not, you could take a cotton mask and soak it in soap and water. And if you wear the little water goggles, soak them in soap and water. And I'd leave it there for a minute. I've got a bakery timer. I'd leave it there for a minute. So really, really be diligent and watch your steps from the minute you enter the door. And yes, disinfect anything that you've touched. Now, I'm not sure if they'll say this later on, but I just want to point out, don't use cash money. If you don't have a debit card, get one. Because you're not only protecting yourself, it's really not fair to the cashiers, that God bless them, that are keeping the grocery stores open and keeping us from starving to death. So I would like to think that, you would be kind enough to help them out too. So, we don't need to be making their lives more at risk than it already is, which is really bad. Now, I can't use aromatic alcohol sprays. So I do know that hydrogen peroxide 3% will kill the virus. So I carry that with me. And baby wipes, they're designed for poop, but I get the ones that don't have alcohol. They're still a disinfectant, but I can't use the ones with alcohol because I'll take an attack and it'll kill me, so defeats the purpose. Now, deliveries, it says ask workers to drop deliveries off on your doorstep or outside your complex. Yeah, in the case of an apartment building, they should be left in the lobby. And if you need to come to the door, make it 10 feet. They keep saying 6 feet, but I'm telling you right now, do you know if you sneeze, how far it goes? Yeah, do you really want to know? More than 10 feet. A sneeze goes at 90 miles an hour, and it'll go up to 19, 20 feet. So hopefully they're not going to sneeze and cough in your face, but 10 feet minimum is I have to say. Pay and tip online when possible. Yes, of course. After you pick up mail from your mailbox, wash your hands. Well, I don't pick up the mail, Dan does. And he hasn't been that diligent yet. Because it's just a lot for him to take in. He's never been the one at risk. I am. And I've always been able to pull out of the attacks with garlic pills, quite frankly. Up to 300 a day is how I've survived. And it can be very, even that, and that can be really hard on your stomach. I buy garlic pills that are coated, just like aspirin's coated. Now, laundry. I suggest you do your laundry once every 6 months, other than the bathroom. Okay, now we have enough clothes. We don't have to do our laundry every day. We're not doing any exercise where we're sweating or in a gym or anything like that. So I just air my clothes out, and I've been doing this all my life, and I don't stink, and my clothes are not toxic. So you can air them out. But if your clothes have been exposed to the virus, then I would set them on a hanger somewhere and let them sit for 3 weeks, and I wouldn't touch them. But you know what? I do that anyway. I pretty much wear one thing twice a year, tops. I remember a guy said to me, "Geez, Trudy," he said, "do you ever wear the same thing twice in a year?" And I said, "Well, not very often." You know, when you're sick and in pain most of your life, you find ways to make yourself feel pretty. And that's my way. I'm a clothes horse. Fashionista, whatever. Anyhow, what's necessary is your bathroom, you know. But most of your things can be aired out. And I wear a hat to go out. And I have about 200 hats, okay? So I don't have to wear the same hat the next day. And if you do, well, I would try to make yourself something that's out of cloth, that when you come in, do the same thing. Soak it in soap and water. And if you have to use a laundromat, which we do, you're going to have to wipe it down and disinfect. And I would really hope that managers of apartment buildings will do like they did when I lived in Toronto one time. We had a day and a certain hour or 2 hours that we were allowed. And we weren't allowed to bunch up. And there was no pandemic. That was just a matter of courtesy. Because there were people with allergies, and they're using cancer-causing, brain damage crap to wash their children's clothes, and then they wonder why they've got so much brain damage and cancer and autism. Oh, my Lord. Anyway, don't get me started. Just so stupid. But if we had governments that cared to prevent disease, all that shit would be banned. Now, don't shake dirty laundry to avoid dispersing the virus in the air. If you're going to do any shaking, do it outside. No guests. That's off limits. If you need to house somebody, avoid shared living space as much as you can. Now, Dan and I have always had our own room. I even had my own separate apartment. Even if I'd stay overnight with him, I had my own separate apartment until I was robbed through fraud by our laws in Canada. Allow and promote legally secret filing and fraud to steal your home, just mortgage fraud. Lawyers can commit fraud. Nobody cares. Anyway, so if you can, and we do that only because I'm a night hawk and he's a morning person and I'm a night person. And he needs his space, I need my space. He loves poker online and watches shows that I don't watch. We have different likes. So we have always had things we do together and things we do apart. If you need to enter a shared living space, ask them to please keep their distance. And again, I say 10 feet, not 6. If someone in your home gets sick, consult your doctor. You won't find me saying that. You do what you want, but I'm going to tell you right now, we're talking about a disease which I have lived with that has no treatment and no cure. So what the hell is your doctor going to do for you? Until you're choking to death and you've got the pneumonia and you need a ventilator and you have to go to the hospital, why bother? Just stay home and follow what you would normally do for flu or a serious viral infection. Now, if you should have a bacteria infection, and garlic pills and chicken soup and all of the above. And don't tell me that ginger cures it, because that's a bloody lie. In fact, ginger nearly killed me. I'm allergic. It made me go into convulsions. It made me so sick. Yeah, supplements help. Spices help. Chicken soup helps. Good, clean, distilled or carbonated spring water, whatever, that all helps. The carbonated water, thanks to Kea Ebling, is that I found out it helps settle your stomach from the nausea. And I have chronic nausea anyway. I mean, I'm always not well. So that really helped me a lot. And isolate, yes. When Dan got really sick with some kind of an infection he picked up at the bingo or casino, I don't know which, but it doesn't matter. He knew enough not to bring it home to me. He did go to a clinic and he got an antibiotic, and then he stayed in his room, I stayed in mine. I did cook for him and I helped him get well, but he was careful not to cough and breathe on me either. And disinfect frequently anything that the sick person touches. Don't share with them, obviously. Could you see it? Like, but I guess some people don't know. They lick the spoon while they're sick and then hand it to you and you lick it. I don't know. I think I know some people that would be that dumb, but anyway. Wear gloves when washing their laundry. Well, I've been wearing gloves to go to the bathroom all my life. My hands haven't touched poop in, I don't know, when did I start doing that? I think I was just a kid. I never liked touching poop. Why would I? A lot easier to wear rubber gloves and wash the gloves, than, and after you use this soap and water, you're going to start cracking and bleeding, because your natural oils will be gone. So yeah, after you've thoroughly washed your hands and you're disinfected, and including the disinfectants, hand sanitizers, put a moisturizer. I just go to the dollar store and get a cheap moisturizer. And there's lots of them around, and I'm 78 and my hands aren't bleeding, and I've got such germ phobia long before coronavirus 19. I'm washing my hands 100 times a day naturally anyway. I go to the bathroom, I wash it 3 times, and then I go to the kitchen and I wash them again. And I've worn rubber gloves to go to the bathroom, so you go figure that one. Yeah. I think there's a few people out there that would that appreciate the germ phobia and what we do. But yes, and so wear gloves, rubber gloves, and continue, of course, to wash your hands, and wear a face mask if you're in an environment with a person who's sick. Now, if I get sick, Dan knows enough not to take me to the hospital. That would be stupid. And if he gets sick, I know enough not to take him to the hospital, because that's really stupid. You're just exposing yourself to the virus. What if you didn't have the virus? You know, first you try and survive it yourself. But like I say, when you get to the point where you've got pneumonia and you're definitely choking and can't breathe, that's when you call the paramedics. And you got to go on oxygen and a respirator and all of that. That's if they have any left by the time you get there. Which, if you're where I am, there won't be any. Now, supplies, make sure that you have approved disinfectants that are guaranteed, and you can go online and check it. I've posted all that on my page, my COVID-19 news page. But you Google it, and it's very fast. Most of it's there. White vinegar I used for 50 years. My grandmother used it, and her mother used it. And it does not work on this virus. It works on germs, but it does not work on this virus. So we switched to hydrogen peroxide. And I can't use bleach. I'm allergic. So you want to use bleach, fine, but you don't have to. There's non-toxic disinfectants that are not aromatic, that are not going to give you cancer. My position is, why make yourself worse? And alcohol makes it aromatic, and it's flying 40 feet away. No, I don't approve of that. And it's not necessary. Laundry detergent, don't use those toxic laundry detergents with all these perfumes and fabric softeners that stink to high hell, and they're calling it perfume. It causes cancer. Don't be stupid. Clean your trash bags, which Dan does regularly. He's very good at that. Prescription medicine, if you have, do everything by mail order, do everything online, and have it delivered. You should store canned goods. Beans, in my case, I use Heinz because all the others give me cramps. Heinz is double cooked or something. And beans and chili are a vegetarian protein. Frozen vegetables, organic. Frozen fruits, organic. You can see all of these are you can store, and most people have freezers, so you know. If you don't, well then you may have to go through that thing. Dried goods. I get organic sprouted breads and put them in the freezer. Bulk Barn carries 100% organic, 2 different kinds of pastas. You don't need to eat that white shit. That's not going to help you fight a virus. And nut butters, yes, they're very good. And frozen foods. And if you're going to eat meat, number 1 is chicken. Number 2 is rainbow trout or salmon. Number 3 is sardines. And other than that, be careful, because there's a lot of poison in the fish in today's world. I buy, very rarely do I eat meat, maybe 2-3 times a year. And right now I have no meat in our kitchen, because I truthfully don't expect to be here in 6 months. I'll probably be dead by then. But if you go to my Facebook, you will find my website, and I give you all that information on what meats are less toxic and which are help to control and pump up your immune system. Now, pets. Yes, I wanted to go walking in wilderness trails. It takes us an hour to drive there. And when we got there, the trails are quite narrow, and there was a family all bunched together with 2 dogs running loose, and we had to turn around and come back and leave. Now, that's really selfish, but that's Sudbury, you know. And there's a lot of places like that. But if you have a backyard, you don't have to do that. You can go outside in your backyard and get all the exercise in the world and fresh air, and including your pets. And you should know that if you or anyone in your household or anyone else has the virus, you can pass it to your cats and your dogs and possibly your birds. Because in fact, this virus came from animals, wild animals and bats and birds and things. And this particular number 19 is only one of hundreds. Coronavirus has been around for 5,000 years. It just mutated to this level. It's mutated before, but again, that's science, and there's lots of information on that. I'm not going to give you that. I think that's enough. This is a good, how many minutes am I now? 30 minutes. I'm sure I've lost your attention long before now. So, thank you, Dr. Wen and Dr. Kansanagatu, Dr. Kuhn, and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. I'm sure he's not alive, but Dr. Jaffe and National Centers of Drug Abuse in Maryland helped me get off cigarettes. And I didn't become allergic to them until 7 years after I quit. That's pretty funny. But anyway, and I have posted on my website all the names of all the agencies that saved my life back in 1989. And they were all American. National Department of Chemical Hazards, they helped me come up with detox systems. And if you are really sick, get frozen okra. If you are in the southern states and you can get fresh, clean baby okra, it feeds your brain and it triggers adrenaline, and it's a nature's amphetamine. That's what keeps me alive. That's what restored my memory. That's what reversed my mother's brain damage when she took a seizure. And that's what took a woman off welfare because she couldn't barely read or write. And her brain came awake. And she went to university, became an engineer, and said, so long, and I ain't never heard from her since. Yeah, there's a lot of people I've saved their lives, but hundreds and thousands of them don't know that it was me that got the gas mask equipment that you see today in the mines and the military. Yeah, I was behind that with the help of the United Steelworkers Union. So, okay, enough said, but do please, you may not die, but you may kill someone else. And that makes you a murderer because you did it knowing. Because you see, even if you don't have the symptoms, you may carry it. Now, on Inside Edition today, a woman, God help her, she had a party for her mother, 90 years old, and killed 2 of her mother's best friends because she never got any symptoms. But after the women died and they found Corona-19, they tested everybody that was at the party and they found that she had been the carrier. So, yes, that makes you a murderer. And you've been warned and you know what to do. So, to all my friends in England, Prince Charles, God bless you. Thank you. He is my hero. He fought canola oil as much as I did. Neither of us were successful because greed wins on this planet. And plenty of people are going to get awful damn sick on you losing everything. Been there, done that 3 times. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And thank you, my